This November, all of you, or at least I really hope all of you, will take some time, you might leave work a little early, to perform your civic duties as American citizens. You will vote for President of the United States. But when you get to the voting booth, you're going to be faced with a ballot that looks more like this. This is what my ballot looked like back in 2012. I was educated, I read the news, I followed campaigns, I was psyched to vote for president, and yet I was unprepared for everything else on here. So what do people do in response to this? Most voters use strategies when they're confronted with unfamiliar names and offices. First, they leave blanks, and political scientists have a name for this. They call it voter runoff or undervoting. Here in Cook County, 30% of voters fail to complete their ballot. It's sort of like when you take the SAT and you don't know the answer, you just skip it. Second, voters stay home. Across the US, in local elections, the median voter turnout is 35%, but it's often as low as 1%. And even the people who do show up, for example, in mayoral elections, the average age of a voter is 60 years old. Yeah. Last, they guess. Raise your hand if you've never guessed on a ballot. Okay. Maybe you've never. There's some people, I actually do know one person who hasn't guessed, and that is, he turned 18 on May 1st this year, and he used Ballot Ready, which I'll tell you about, so he's never guessed on his ballot. I admit I have guessed. We've talked to hundreds of people who've also admitted to guessing. This includes political reporters for the Tribune who know who they vote for in the districts that they cover, but they don't know who to vote for in their own districts. It includes political science professors who write books about voting. And the crazy thing is the methods that voters use to guess. Studies have shown that white, Black, and Hispanic voters tend to predominantly vote for candidates of their own ethnicity, despite their records. This is probably why some judges in Cook County have actually changed their last names to sound more Irish. Yeah. And last, the worst kind of guessing is ballot placement. If you're a candidate running for office and your name is listed first on the ballot, you can get up to a 5% increase in votes. So the result of this is we're not doing a very good job electing people on the local level. Right here in Cook County, in Cook County, no elected judge has failed to be retained since 1990. These are elected judges, they're just keeping their jobs. And this includes this judge who actually assaulted someone in her courtroom and was still reelected with 60% of the vote. In Pittsburgh, a seven-term lawmaker was recently found to have he's been running a gambling ring for years, still reelected. In Kentucky, like in most states, they elect coroners who do the autopsies to determine cause of death. To do those autopsies, you need to be certified. 8 of their coroners don't take the annual certification, so they aren't actually doing the autopsies. Even when we're not making egregious mistakes in electing people, voting informed really matters. Studies show that low turnout leads to unequitable representation of ethnicities on city councils and policy proposals that favor special interests. As Harvard professor Rohini Pandey said, a well-functioning democracy requires voters to be informed. And here's the thing. Local elected officials are making decisions that affect our lives every day. While the president is appointing Supreme Court justices and signing treaties, we may think of local elected officials doing things like potholes and monitoring trash pickup, stuff that's boring or hard to follow. But when you dig into it, you realize these people are doing things that are fundamental to our communities. They're creating streets that are nice to live on. They're making sure transportation is reliable. They're determining prices. They're doing things that determine the price of our rent. They're also doing things that, when they go wrong, are really bad for us. They determine the quality of our drinking water. They determine funding for health clinics, and they choose the leadership of our schools. It's so easy now to find information on Beyoncé's last 140 characters. It should be this easy to get information about who represents us. So my team and I created Ballot Ready to make democracy work the way it should. The way it works, Ballot Ready is an online voter guide for local, state, and national elections. When we go to ballotready.org, we can see every candidate that's going to be on our ballot and background information, their stances on issues, their previous experience, who endorses them. Then once you've compared candidates based on what you care about, what matters to you, you can save them to pull up on your phone in the voting booth. We have so far launched in 4 states. We're a very new startup. We've been around for just over a year. We've had over 190,000 people use our site to vote informed. We're covering a new state per month this year, and for the general election this November, we're going to be in 25 states. So, a lot of people, most of us this year, you either feel more pessimistic than you ever have about our country, or you might feel more optimistic than you ever have. But whatever the outcome of the presidential election, know that you have the power to use your voice in local elections. So this November, go vote, but vote informed so we can make our country and communities stronger. Thank you very much.